Imagine this. You're an astronomer in Hawaii, 3 in the morning, half asleep, halfway through a coffee that tastes like despair. Suddenly, a bright speck moves across your screen. You zoom in. It's fast, too fast. You check the telescope, then the software, then your pulse. No mistake. This thing is not orbiting the sun. It's escaping it. They name it 3I/ATLAS, the third interstellar object ever found. The first was Oumuamua in 2017, that long cigar-shaped mystery that accelerated for no reason and vanished before anyone could say screenshot. The second, Borisov, was a normal comet, dull enough to make science teachers smile again. But this new one, it's different, brighter, faster, and very possibly rude. At first, everyone says the same thing, probably a comet, but then it refuses to behave. No tail, no dust, no gas, just a silent gleam. It moves like a rock that overslept the Big Bang. The data shows irregular flashes, as if it's spinning with intention. Every time it turns, the sunlight glints in perfect rhythm. It speeds up when it should slow down, like it's enjoying the drama. One astronomer mutters, "Maybe it's braking for traffic." Nobody laughs. The numbers don't add up. The object is moving on a hyperbolic path, a one-way trip through our solar system, never to return. Somewhere in Cambridge, Massachusetts, Professor Avi Loeb is already smiling. He's the astrophysicist who, years ago, suggested Oumuamua might be alien technology. People rolled their eyes back then. Now the universe seems to be giving him a sequel. Telescopes all over the world lock on. The reflections look smooth, almost metallic. The shape appears geometric, too neat for a chunk of random rock. Imagine a mountain-sized toaster cruising through space, elegant, silent, and completely uninterested in your existential crisis. Scientists argue. Half say it's natural, the other half whisper, "Then why does it look designed?" Conspiracy forums explode. Social media turns into a battlefield of imagination. Some insist it's an alien probe. Others accuse NASA of hiding the truth. And a few claim it's a space angel here to judge our memes. Meanwhile, the real experts are quietly panicking. The math doesn't fit. The trajectory is too precise, the brightness too steady. Whatever it is, it doesn't behave like anything we know. If it's natural, it's a miracle of physics. If it's artificial, then someone built it. And they're way ahead of us. Picture it now, a silent object gliding past the planets, bathed in sunlight, ancient, indifferent. It crosses our skies once and disappears forever. No sound, no signal, no explanation. Just a brief reminder that the universe doesn't owe us an explanation. That's 3I/ATLAS. The visitor that made astronomers ask the question no one likes to say out loud. What if it's watching? Maybe we didn't discover it at all. Maybe it discovered us. And that's where our story begins. A cosmic mystery, starring a rock that might not be a rock, a few over-caffeinated scientists, and a universe that loves practical jokes. Welcome to Crazy Science Stories, where science gets weird, facts get fun, and the future always sounds like a cliffhanger. Here, nothing is boring, not even death by math. So before we open that cosmic door and find out what's really hiding behind it, do the smart thing. Subscribe, because if the next visitor decides to stop by, you'll want to know before it knocks. Let's begin. Rewind to 2017. The world is busy arguing on Twitter, and somewhere in Hawaii, a telescope spots something that will change astronomy forever. A long, thin object slicing through space like a cosmic dart. 200 meters long, dark red, spinning slowly, as sunlight glints across its surface. No gas, no tail, no trace of ice. Yet it accelerates, as if something invisible is pushing it. They name it Oumuamua, which in Hawaiian means the messenger from afar who arrives first. Romantic name for a rock that terrifies half the planet. It's the first confirmed interstellar visitor, a piece of matter from another star system that just wandered into our backyard. Scientists scramble. Some say it's a weird comet that lost its ice. Others call it a new type of asteroid. A few whisper, or maybe it's something else. Because here's the problem. Comets accelerate because they release gas. But Oumuamua doesn't release anything. It just glides faster and faster, silently, as if the laws of motion are a suggestion. Its shape doesn't help. Long and flat like a metallic pancake or a giant cosmic USB stick. It reflects light like polished metal, then poof, gone. Before we can point a probe, it slips back into the dark. It's like the universe dropped a clue, then snatched it away before we could ask questions. 2 years later, in 2019, the cosmos offers a peace offering to I/Borisov, a normal interstellar comet. It behaves exactly as a comet should. Tail, check gas jets, check scientists breathe again. See? They say. No aliens, just physics. Everyone moves on until 2025, because suddenly a new blip appears, 3I/ATLAS. And just like that, every old theory crawls out of its grave. This one glows too bright, moves too oddly, spins too fast. Its light flashes like a coded signal. It's as if the universe hit copy-paste on Oumuamua, but turned the weirdness up to 11. Some astronomers even report tiny shifts in trajectory, as if it's adjusting course, correcting itself like it has GPS. One researcher describes it best. It's behaving like it doesn't care what the sun wants. For context, a hyperbolic trajectory means it's moving faster than the sun's gravity can pull it back. In other words, this visitor isn't part of the family. It's a stranger cutting through the neighborhood, heading out, and never returning. To put it simply, imagine you invite someone over for dinner, and halfway through dessert, they walk through the wall and leave the city. That's a hyperbolic trajectory. In scientific terms, that's impressive. In emotional terms, that's rude. Astronomers try to sound calm in interviews, but you can feel the panic between the lines. Space agencies release official statements full of words like anomalous, non-gravitational, and unexpected. Translation: we have no idea what this thing is doing. It doesn't help that Avi Loeb, the same Harvard scientist who once suggested Oumuamua was alien tech, is suddenly back in the headlines saying, "Told you so." He believes these objects might be artificial, ancient sails, or fragments of technology drifting between stars. Some scientists roll their eyes. Others secretly wonder if he might be right, because the data keeps whispering something uncomfortable. Maybe these are not accidents. Maybe they're leftovers. Imagine billions of years ago, a civilization launches a fleet of tiny probes, solar sails designed to explore the galaxy. Most are lost, some destroyed, a few still wandering. Every few centuries, one crosses our path. We call it a rock. It calls us history class. The idea sounds insane, but so did black holes, exoplanets, and Wi-Fi. Meanwhile, 3I/ATLAS continues its graceful escape, twirling like a dancer through the void. Its light pulses against the darkness, not fast enough to be Morse code, but just enough to make you wonder. Scientists keep tracking it, until one by one their telescopes lose the signal. The object fades into blackness, headed back to interstellar space. And then it's gone. Again. Just like Oumuamua, like a ghost leaving no trace, only questions. And here's the weirdest part. Astronomers calculate that thousands of such visitors pass through our solar system every year. We just never see them. They're too small, too faint, too fast. Meaning 3. I/ATL. AS might not be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. It's just the first one we caught red-handed. So maybe we've always been surrounded by travellers, silent messengers from the stars, sliding past us in the dark. Some are natural, others maybe not. Think about it. If you were an ancient civilization billions of years ahead of us, wouldn't you send something out there too? A probe, a map, a rock with a story hidden in its orbit. Avi Loeb calls them ghosts of technology, and the name fits. They drift between systems, forgotten by their makers, haunting the galaxy like relics of lost gods. It makes you wonder, what if we're next? What if one day, long after we're gone, some alien astronomer points a telescope at Earth and spots our junk drifting through their sky, satellites, rovers, old Elon's car, and says, look, another strange visitor. Maybe the universe is full of stories like this. We just arrived too late to meet the authors. So, if 3I/ATLAS came from somewhere else, where exactly? And why now? In the next chapter, we'll dive into the theories. From wild experiments to billionaires betting on immortality. And discover how far some people are willing to go to prove that maybe, just maybe, we're not alone. Now the madness begins. The object is gone, the data is cold, and yet the arguments are hotter than the sun. Half the astronomers say 3I/ATLAS is nothing more than a space rock kicked out of some distant system. The other half lower their voices and start using the word nobody wants to say too loud. Artificial. A few even propose a wild idea, that it might be a solar sail, a thin metallic sheet that rides sunlight the way a surfer rides a wave. No rockets, no engines, just pure radiation pressure pushing it forward like a cosmic breeze. And right there, in the middle of the uproar, stands Avi Loeb, calm as a man watching a storm he ordered himself. He's back, Harvard smile, coffee in hand, and that look that says, "I told you so." With the confidence of someone who enjoys starting galactic bar fights, he publishes another paper. This time, he suggests that 3I/ATLAS might be artificial, a relic of alien technology, perhaps a sail left behind by a civilization that no longer exists. The backlash is instant. Astronomers split faster than an atom. Some call him a genius, others call him a YouTuber with tenure. Twitter goes into meltdown, podcasts argue, and somewhere a physics professor quietly mutters, "Not this again!" But Loeb doesn't flinch. When data defies explanation, he says, imagination is our only tool. And that's the problem. Science hates imagination until it needs it. To simplify things, this object has no engine, no fuel, no gas jets, and yet it accelerates. Either it's magic or it's built. That single sentence shakes the whole field. If he's right, it means the galaxy might be littered with artifacts, messages without senders, technology without owners, drifting like ghost ships between stars. Skeptics argue, you can't just yell aliens every time a rock glows funny. Loeb shrugs and says, sure I can. That's how progress starts. Meanwhile, a group of engineers and dreamers secretly love the chaos. They create a mission called Project Lyra, humanity's first plan to chase an interstellar object. The idea: build a probe fast enough to catch 3I/ATLAS and figure out what the hell it is. Problem: by the time they finish the PowerPoint, it's already billions of kilometers away. To reach it, we'd need a ship that moves faster than anything we've ever made. Nuclear rockets, laser sails, fusion engines. Nothing's ready. The object is gone, and all we have left is a trail of pixels and frustration. Still, Project Lyra stays alive, because it's not just about this rock, it's about the next one, and the one after that. It's about refusing to miss the call next time the universe dials our number. The truth is, no one wants to admit it, but deep down, scientists are dreamers. They don't stare at the sky because they expect answers. They stare because they want to be surprised. And right now, the universe is being very generous with surprises. Because if 3I/Atlas was just random debris, then it's a beautiful coincidence. But if it was sent here, intentionally or not, then we just witnessed the oldest technology in existence still doing its job. Every telescope on Earth keeps searching. The next visitor could appear any day, and this time they're ready. Systems are online, simulations are running, funding proposals are already written. When the next one enters our solar system, humanity will be watching. And maybe, this time it won't leave so quickly, because if there's one pattern the universe seems to love, it's repetition. Nothing happens once. Everything echoes. So what happens the day we find one that isn't leaving? That's where the real story begins. This is where things start to get deliciously messy. The scientists have data, the public has opinions, and somewhere in between lies the truth, or at least a very expensive argument about it. On one side, the skeptics. It's just a weird rock, they say. Space is full of surprises. Don't make it weird. These are the voices of reason, the guardians of Occam's razor, armed with equations and mild existential dread. On the other side, the dreamers. They point at the data and grin. Then why so shiny? Why that perfect curve? Why does it spin like it's performing for the cameras? These are the people who see poetry in chaos, who believe the universe might actually enjoy showing off. And then, the conspiracists. The ones who whisper, NASA knows more than it says. They spend their nights drawing triangles on screenshots and connecting dots that may or may not exist. To them, every press release is a cover-up. Every blurry photo a clue. Every silence a confession. It's science versus faith. Logic versus wonder. Reddit versus reality. Meanwhile, the James Webb Space Telescope joins the party. Its golden mirrors catch a glimpse of 3I/ATLAS before it vanishes into the dark, and what it sees only fuels the chaos. Infrared readings reveal a surface that's too smooth, too reflective, too uniform. Not like rock, not like ice, more like metal. One astronomer jokes, that's like finding a car in the desert and insisting it's just a naturally square dune. Nobody laughs, but not because it's not funny, because it's too close to what everyone is secretly thinking. The official reports are careful. The word anomaly appears a lot. But between the lines, you can hear the disbelief. A natural object shouldn't look like this, not unless the universe is really good at geometry. The arguments spread beyond science. Philosophers weigh in, theologians too. Even the stock market reacts. Because if 3I/ATLAS turns out to be alien tech, who's going to patent it first? And in the middle of it all stands a quiet, unsettling question. What if we've been looking for a message and already missed it? For centuries, humans have stared at the sky searching for signs, omens, lights, voices, prophecies. We've built radio telescopes, sent probes, written songs about little green men, all waiting for someone to say hello. But what if the hello already happened, just not in a way we expected? What if the message wasn't a sound, but an object? Not a radio signal, but a silent traveller drifting between stars, carrying knowledge we're too primitive to recognise. Maybe 3I/ATLAS is not a visitor at all. Maybe it's a letter in a language older than DNA, one we just never learned to read. It's a beautiful, terrifying idea that the universe talks to us all the time, and we keep missing the conversation. The skeptics roll their eyes, muttering about coincidences and bad math. The dreamers sip coffee at 3 a.m, staring at the stars, smiling like they know a secret. And the conspiracists? They're already sure we opened the letter and burned it. But deep down, everyone feels the same thing. That crawling mix of fear and curiosity. That whisper that says, what if this is the proof we've been waiting for? The truth is, no one knows. Not yet. All we have are fragments of light, pieces of data, and the uneasy feeling that something or someone passed through our backyard and didn't bother to knock. As 3I/Atlas fades into the cold, silent dark, telescopes keep turning, scanning the void, waiting for the next one. Because space has a pattern and the universe doesn't do one-offs. If there was one visitor, there will be another. And maybe next time, it won't be in such a hurry to leave. So ask yourself this: what if 3I/ATLAS isn't the first or the last? Let's zoom out. Big picture. We used to think interstellar visitors were once-in-a-century events, cosmic unicorns that would never cross our path again. Now telescopes spot dozens of them every year. Tiny, dim, most too small for our old instruments to notice. Space isn't a desert. It's a highway, and traffic is picking up. Statistically, some of those objects must be artificial. The numbers don't lie. The universe is too vast, too old, too full of chances for only one species, us, to start throwing toys into the void. The odds almost demand company. And just like that, a new field is born. Interstellar archaeology. The search for alien artifacts adrift in space. Forget pyramids and pottery. These archaeologists chase signals, trajectories, and the faint metallic fingerprints of forgotten machines. Their motto could be summed up as, "We dig up there." It changes how we look at the cosmos, because maybe civilizations don't send messages. Maybe they leave objects. Silent messengers drifting between stars like cosmic postcards. They don't say hello, they say, "We were here." Some are fragments of technology, lost probes, maybe a single bolt from a ship that flew 1 billion years ago. Others might be entire monuments, machines still running, patiently waiting for someone smart enough to notice. We used to think the sky was empty. Now it feels more like a museum we've just learned how to enter. And then comes the twist that keeps scientists awake at night. What if they're not extinct? What if these artifacts aren't relics, but instruments? What if the builders are still out there, curious, detached, watching us, the same way we study trilobites in a rock? It's an unsettling image. Somewhere in the dark, a distant intelligence tuning into our chaos, shaking its head the way a teacher sighs at a class that just discovered fire. Dark humour helps the medicine go down. If aliens are observing us, one researcher jokes, They're probably making a documentary called The Species That Invented TikTok Before Quantum Gravity. The room laughs nervously, because deep down, they know it's not impossible. All across Earth, observatories hum like beehives. Projects with names like Pan-STARRS, Vera Rubin and Dragonfly scan the sky, log in every strange blip that crosses the stars. Each new detection adds a pixel to the bigger picture. A galaxy alive with movement, where every shining speck could be a clue to someone else's story. Philosophers, naturally, are having a field day. Some say these objects prove that life is inevitable, that intelligence spreads like spores. Others argue they're warnings, cosmic traffic cones saying, "Don't make the same mistakes we did." And then there's Avi Loeb, still smiling, still betting that one of these visitors is going to prove him right. He points to the odds again. If you roll the cosmic dice enough times, you don't just get life once. You get it everywhere. But what happens if we find proof? If one day a telescope catches an object slowing down, turning toward us, matching our orbit, what would we do? Invite it in? Hide under the bed? Call Elon? Governments already have protocols for alien contact, but they're hilariously outdated. Written back when our biggest worry was someone invading by radio. None of them mention what to do if the signal comes with a physical return address. And that's the secret tension running through every observatory, every space agency, every conspiracy forum. The data keeps growing, the mysteries keep multiplying, and everyone's pretending they're ready for something that might actually be impossible to prepare for. Because let's be honest, humanity has a bad track record with first contact. We can't even agree on pineapple pizza. How are we supposed to greet something that thinks in equations, not emotions? Still, we keep looking, because that's what we do. Curiosity is our curse and our crown. We stare into the void, not because it's safe, but because it's there. So scientists keep watching, engineers keep building faster probes, and dreamers keep whispering that maybe, just maybe, the universe is finally about to answer back. And then comes the thought that freezes everyone for a heartbeat. If these visitors really are messages, if they really are watching, then maybe the next one won't just pass through. Maybe it will slow down. What happens when the message stops drifting and starts listening? When the silence of space finally speaks back? In our final chapter, we'll find out what that could mean for science, for philosophy, and for the tiny species that thought it was alone. In the end, everything drifts. Stars, planets, data, stories, even us. We spend our lives trying to hold still in a universe that never stops moving. Somewhere beyond Neptune's orbit, a small, silent traveller keeps going. 3I/ATLAS. The object that came from nowhere said nothing and left us arguing with ourselves. No signal, no sound, just a faint reflection of starlight gliding through the dark, carrying a story we may never decode. If it's natural, it's proof that the universe is a restless artist. Matter travels between worlds like brushstrokes on a cosmic canvas. Dust becomes comets. Comets become seeds. Seeds become worlds. Maybe that's the real miracle. That every rock, every atom, is part of a grand exchange of dust and dreams. Nothing truly ends. It just keeps orbiting something else. But if 3I/ATLAS is artificial, even in the smallest way, then everything changes. It means we're not the first to look up and wonder. It means the silence of space isn't emptiness, it's distance. The difference between a whisper and the ears that can't yet hear it. And maybe that's what all this has been about. We've been waiting for someone to talk to us. A radio ping, a signal, a miracle. But maybe the universe already did. Maybe it's been speaking for billions of years. In light, in gravity, in motion. And we just didn't recognize the language. We look for intelligence that speaks like us, thinks like us, feels like us. But maybe real intelligence doesn't need to shout. Maybe it just builds something that lasts, sets it loose, and lets time do the rest. Imagine an ancient civilization, long gone, that once launched 1,000 sails into the dark. Some burned, some froze, some vanished. One drifted into our sky, long enough for a few confused primates to point telescopes and whisper, What is that? Maybe that's the point. Not to communicate, but to remind whoever comes next that they're part of a bigger story. A chain of curiosity stretching across the stars. When you think about it, it's kind of poetic. We've spent centuries sending our own messages. Voyager probes, golden records, tiny discs engraved with our coordinates. We've been leaving breadcrumbs for strangers we'll never meet, hoping that somewhere, someday, someone will care enough to wonder who we were. In that sense, 3i/ATLAS isn't just their message, it's a mirror. It shows us what we already are, a species that refuses to stay quiet in the dark. And maybe that's the real discovery. Not aliens, not proof, but connection. The realization that the universe might not be empty, it's just patient. Somewhere, 3i/Atlas keeps drifting. Not gone, not forgotten, just moving the way everything does. A messenger with no address, gliding through the silence, glowing faintly as the sunlight fades. Maybe one day it will pass by another world, and someone else will look up and ask the same question we did. Maybe this story will keep repeating over and over across galaxies, like an echo that refuses to die. And when it does, maybe that will be the closest thing the universe has to a conversation. So, what do you think? Cosmic rock or alien calling card? You decide. See you soon on Crazy Science Stories.